Romans were among the greatest builders in ancient times. Across their enormous empire, they constructed roads, amphitheaters, aqueducts, and numerous other structures, and the cities they founded were often the predecessors of modern ones. The Romans planned their cities carefully, and the design and construction of each reflected their social and economic needs, while simultaneously showcasing their architectural style and engineering methods. It is a testament to their skill as builders that large numbers of their structures still exist in Europe, North Africa, and the Middle East today. Some early Roman cities, including Rome itself, developed in a haphazard manner and featured various irregularities in their design, but most of the later ones were designed in a similar manner. As the Roman Republic and the Roman Empire later expanded, its soldiers marched through the countryside and established military camps, which were often the precursors of towns and cities. Each town and city was laid out in a standard pattern, a square with streets in a grid pattern that intersected at right angles. Oftentimes, two major streets bisected the town or city in a north-south and east-west direction and met in the center in a great square called a forum. The forum served as the economic and social center of the city. In addition, there were typically two diagonal streets that cut across the town or city that met in the center. The major streets were wider than the regular ones, which were of a uniform width. The majority of towns and cities had paved streets with large stones fit together and utilized concrete as the main construction material. The grid pattern and the similarity of the street designs were necessary to enable soldiers easily to move anywhere in a city to defend it. Most Roman cities, especially those founded in the empire's later years, had walls and towers for defense. The walls had 4 main gates, one at each end of the 2 main roadways. While these defenses protected the people of the city, they had a negative effect by limiting how much it could increase in size. The Romans also built every city alongside a river or near a source of water. The river flowed through the city, and additional water was transported from nearby hills or mountains by large aqueduct systems. Most Roman cities had extensive piping systems to bring in water and to carry away sewage. While most people bathed and got drinking water from public facilities, wealthier citizens had water piped directly into their homes. Urban life centered on a block enclosed by 4 streets. These blocks contained apartment buildings, called insulae, which stood several stories high. The blocks of insulae were the equivalent of modern-day urban neighborhoods, and the majority of the common people, the plebeians, lived in them. An insula lacked indoor water and sewage facilities, so its residents had to carry their water from nearby wells and cart their sewage to various dumping points. A larger type of home, known as a domus, was where wealthy individuals lived. They always resided in separate areas from the poorer citizens. Markets and businesses were established near insulae, so large cities had several commercial districts serving entire groups of blocks. However, the forum in each city was always the primary center of commerce and politics and was therefore constantly busy. In some cases, there was so much traffic in the busiest parts of the city that those areas became congested at certain times of the day. As a result, traffic could be restricted in some areas. Every Roman city had several other common structures. Barracks for soldiers were standard, as was a temple for religious functions. And other buildings were theaters, amphitheaters, and basilicas, and the largest cities had a circus. The theaters were utilized by actors putting on dramatic performances, while the Romans used amphitheaters to watch games such as gladiatorial contests. The basilicas served as places for people to engage in legal and business dealings, and the circuses were the equivalent of present-day horse racing tracks. One last building that featured prominently was the horium, a storehouse containing large amounts of grain, oil, wine, and other foodstuffs. This was a building necessary to keep urban dwellers fed and happy.